So in this video, we're looking at a subject quite close to my heart. What does a personal stylist do? So as a personal stylist, I get lots of people asking me questions about how I work and what it's like being a personal stylist, and there's quite a lot of misconceptions. So in this video, I will be talking about how personal styling actually works. So a personal stylist will work with clients really so they present themselves in the best possible way for the occasion. It's the simplest way I can define it. This can mean picking colours, fabrics, styles, brands that suit the customer's budget, personal taste and the occasion. It can sometimes mean putting combinations together of clothing I already have. Sometimes it's wardrobe editing. So there's lots of things that you can take. Sometimes you will take the customer shopping. You can be a personal shopper and help them make the right choices, introduce them to brands they may not have been heard of. You may also sometimes be employed to be a personal shopper individually and just to go out with a shopping list to find things for the client. You do preparation and not actually be with the client and then present it to them. So it covers a lot of things, but really you're trying to help the customer look their best and make it a little bit easier for them in life. Often these people have very high-powered jobs and they're very busy. They don't have the time to really put the effort into looking their best. In the same way you get more out of going to a gym, perhaps you've got a personal trainer, going shopping with a personal shopper or a personal stylist means you get more out of the experience. So you're being more efficient, you're not wasting time going to shops that don't suit your budget, your fit or your style. I never really had a career plan to become a personal stylist. It sort of grew for me organically. I've been in menswear a long time, and my first job in menswear was in the shirt and tie department in Selfridges back in the early 90s. And one thing I used to absolutely love would be customers coming into the shirt and tie department with a new suit or a sports jacket, and they'd lay it on the desk and say, help me put an outfit together. I don't know how, I love this suit, but I don't know what to wear with it. And I remember I was only in my early 20s, I was full of enthusiasm, and some of the more seasoned sales assistants were, oh God, it's one of them. They used to kind of hide. And I used to love it because I would have conversations with them. I'd be saying, well, when you're wearing this suit and what are the shoes you're wearing? I want to really build an outfit. So I always thought it was more than just picking a shirt and size to go with the jacket. I would look at what was the occasion? Is it for work? Is it for travel? And I'd really like to get more out of the customer to help them build an outfit rather than just a matching shirt and tie. So I guess that was probably my introduction to personal styling. I'd never have described myself as a personal stylist in my early 20s. I was a shop assistant, but I was very keen on having conversations beyond just selling shirts and ties. I used to really enjoy bringing other accessories in. I was taking them over to the accessories department, which in those days would be completely different. It was always quite funny on the side here that the pocket squares and the ties had different buyers, so mixing and matching was never a problem. They have completely different aesthetics, but I'd often take my customer into a different department and help them pick braces, belts, socks to complete look. So I used to enjoy that element of shopping. And I think probably the next time I had that sort of involvement was when I became a salesman on Savile Row. Again, they'd come to you for a suit, but I was far more interested in not just selling you a blue 2-button suit for work, but something that really suited their style. And I'd always ask questions about, well, okay, so it's for work, it's part of you work in the conservice industry, but I'd always try and dig a little bit deeper. So who do you admire in film or TV or in the public eye for taste? So I try and just build up a real customer profile. And then when I made them a suit, ordered them a suit, not only was it fitted for them and practical, I kind of put some design elements into it. So we always talk about things like James Bond, some of the Michael Caine films, and just try and get those elements into it. So I always saw myself more than just a fitter on Savile Row. I saw myself as a personal stylist. Again, I never used the expression. So let's talk about the process. Depending on what my client needs or the client's need, it could be anything from I need a suit for my son's wedding to I've lost a lot of weight, I need a complete new wardrobe, or I've just changed jobs and I need new business looks. You find out what the customer actually needs, but then you just want to get to know a little bit about the customer. You talk to them about their lifestyle, who they like in terms of fashion, and I'm not afraid of fashion. There is a bit of a trend at the moment about I'm into timeless, effortless, classic style that never goes out. And it's like, oh, it's just a look, it's just style. I love fashion and fashion changes. That doesn't mean every 6 months you have to throw your old clothes away, but you should never ignore fashion. And it's about understanding fashion and bringing it into your classic wardrobe. One of the misconceptions I find for personal styling is that people will go to a personal stylist, they want to stand out. They want to look amazing. They want people to comment on how they dress. Now, certainly there's an element of that. Some people come to me saying, like, I want to be regarded as fashionable. People want to look at me and think I'm well dressed. But a lot of customers, it's the opposite. They want to dress in a style which gets them unnoticed. They want to fit into a certain part of society. They want to go to certain events and look like they belong and look like they belong to that crowd. So they go into a stylist to fit in, not to stand out. And that's an area I do a lot of. I often have to sign NDAs. So as much as you may see me on social media, most of my customers aren't shared on social media because it is very much a private service. And I want the customer to feel like they present the best version of themselves. I'm here to help. In the same way, if you saw someone who's really very fit and they've worked out, you wouldn't think, wow, it's a great personal trainer. You give them the attributes, and well, you've worked out, you've made the effort. And I help people dress better and to present a version of themselves they're proud of. I don't want to look like they've been dressed by a stylist, and I think that's the difference. You often see with celebrities, you see them dressed, they look slightly uncomfortable. You just think, yeah, you've been dressed by a stylist. You've had a brand pay you to wear that clothing. It doesn't look like you belong. I want my customers to feel, and I think most stylists want their customers to be the best version of themselves. I very much enjoy doing wardrobe edits. I often have customers that say to me, I have too many clothes with nothing to wear, classic comment. And I'll always find something really interesting in people's, or I usually find something quite interesting in wardrobes. It could be often a suit they had made for a wedding or for a special occasion, which they've put aside as their special occasion suit and never get to wear it. I often find out with tweed suits. If customers have a tweed suit made for a wedding, it kind of sits there waiting for their next tweedy wedding. And I'm always saying to them, you've got the most amazing sports jacket there, and you've got an amazing pair of trousers you should be wearing with knitwear. So, you can break this up. So often linens, tweeds, cottons, they're sort of, which have been, they bought in their head is a wedding suit, doesn't get worn because they don't get invited to that type of wedding, can be repurposed for other things. Often shoes, I like to look at shoes and then see I found some wonderful sort of vintage shoes they've had and they've worn out, have them fully repaired and repatinaed, look amazing. If you had a pair of shoes sort of 10, 15 years and you've worn them out a little bit, they're good quality to begin with. You can get a colour, amazing colour if it's repatinaed. You can really bring those depth of colours out. So often, I don't make any difference to me whether the customer buys a whole new wardrobe or just wears their current wardrobe differently. I've got no skin in either game. I like to make people look their best and help them shop in good places, but I get as much satisfaction out of just finding their wardrobe. Often, I do some alterations. I suggest alterations. I'm not a tailor. You will see things in their wardrobe which they're not wearing because it doesn't fit them. I'm thinking, we don't need to buy a new version of that. You just need to get their alter or get it repaired. I don't have that common misconception of the idea that you haven't worn it in 6 months or a year, you don't need it, because that's not always the case. I like to have clothes. You might not wear your morning towels every year, but you still hang on to them. So I always take a sense check on that. But anything which is in bad repair, either repair it or get rid of it. Those are my rules. But I do enjoy wardrobe editing. And often, just repurposing things, showing how suits can be broken down as separates. Often, most men have got a couple of suits in their wardrobe where they've worn out the trousers, they can't get a second pair of trousers, but the jacket's too good to throw away. I'll help them repurpose it as a sports jacket, or time to give it away. It's no point keeping something you're not going to wear ever. Now, understanding colour and fit is key to a personal stylist. Obviously, from fit, I used to be a fitter on Savile Row. I was head of design for Menswear, so I have quite a good eye for fit, and I can still measure people. So I always do a full measure of my customers and help them pick the best fits and give practical advice to what can be done. So whether to pick up shoulders, suppress waist, shorten sleeves. Now, as far as colour goes, I know some personal stylists will do a big thing on what colours suit you. I use my judgment on that, but I also believe in colours that suit the occasion. I once had a colour consultation a long time ago when I was a salesman, telling me to wear aubergines and forest greens or something like that. And I thought, well, regardless of what colours look great on me, If I want to be taken seriously in London, it's blue or grey. Anything outside of those two colours isn't taken seriously. So it's about context and also wearing colour. Again, I was told about colour I shouldn't wear because it didn't suit my colouring. I said, well, sure, if it's trousers, that's not even going to reflect on my face. So I am aware of colours, and I always think of what suits people, but take that from a judgment, and I don't put too much science behind it, because I find a lot of that science is a bit phony. Maybe it works for some people. It's about classic colours that are acceptable, colours you feel comfortable in, but I do like to bring colour into wardrobes. Something I talk about a lot with my personal customers is what I call the sweet spot. The sweet spot is that moment when you get an outfit together and you dress a customer and they feel comfortable, they look good, they're appropriately dressed for the occasion, and nothing sticks out. It could be that perfect blue suit with a few little touches on it. So I love it. It's something I use in when I was a designer. I use a sweet spot where you can be in a beautiful blue suit, but you can be anonymous in it. You can walk along a typical London street and you're just a guy in a blue suit. You might be quite smart, but no one can actually define why you're well dressed. But other people who love clothing might look at your suit and say, I appreciate the shape of your chest pocket. I love that you got that slight curve on the lapel. I noticed that toe shape on your brogues. Those lovely little subtle details. I like the fact you've got a nice cufflink, which you've got a little bit of colour into it. So little details that don't scream, don't shout. It's not about winning the red carpet. It's about living your life, in a confident, elegant way. So you don't draw attention to yourself unnecessarily, but other people that appreciate clothes just can sort of, you can communicate with them on a different level. And that's what I call the sweet spot. And that's something I've always liked to do. I wouldn't say today's suit is a sweet spot. I think it's probably sticking itself out there, but hey, I'm a stylist. But yeah, so I always talk about the sweet spot and just that area. You can just move in different circles of London. You can go from being quite high end, you can go shopping without saying, look at me, I'm not being a complete dandy, but you still have those lovely little stylish tells about you that show you're well dressed. I often take customers to tailors and assist in them having suits made. Now, this I always approach with caution, because when I was a fitter on Savile Row, if somebody turns up with somebody to help them, it almost feels like you've got two customers. What I would always do in that situation is speak to the customer first, find out exactly what they want from a suit, how much they're expecting to pay, what they're willing to pay, how many fittings they're expected to go to, and then with that knowledge, help them find the right tailor to suit them. I would also then help them define what they're asking for. So if a customer has a particular look or lapel they've really wanted, I can help express that to the tailor and help the situation rather than hinder it. I also really like to get involved in picking cloths from books. I often feel sorry for customers because they've got all these fabrics presented to them that all kind of look and feel the same, but they can vary in price and quality. I can really help, and I really enjoy finding out some of those hidden gems. Made to measure, for example, often have house cloths, and they can be amazing because what they do is made to measure houses is they buy cloth in bulk and put it in their house bunch. So you could be finding fabrics which are really great quality at good prices. So again, with bespoke tailoring and even made to measure tailoring being 4 and sometimes 5 figures, having a personal stylist to help you out for a day or two, making the right decisions, makes sense economically, because it's one thing affording a Savile Row suit, but can you afford to buy one that you don't wear? A comment I often get about being a personal stylist is, will I make my customers dress like me? Well, the short answer is no. I'm not out to impose my own personal look on anybody. It's about finding classic looks, contemporary looks that suit the customer's lifestyle, budget, etc. However, if you dislike the way I dress and you don't like my taste, probably not the man for you, to be quite honest. There's a common ground between you appreciating my style and how I put things together. And if you like how I put things together, I can take elements of this. You can always use me as a point of reference. Customers often ask me about how I wear a neckerchief or particular details on my suits, which is a good point of reference, but no, I'm not looking out to make clones of Chris Modoo. Well, I hope you found that interesting and you've learned a bit more about how personal styling can work. If you're interested in my services, there's a link here below, check it out. As always, put your comments below and hit that subscribe button.